డ్రెస్ బాగుంటేనే కదా నాకు ఫోటో నచ్చుతుంది. ఇచ్చేట్లా
కానీ అలా చెప్పకూడదు. this is when Britannia was in service, there were 220 crew, 20 officers, so the 220 crew, probably 150 men. Housekeepers who go around doing all the dusting, they do that now. So it's not, it'll never be in as good condition as it was in the day. You know, you've seen lots of dust and you've seen lots of we do our best to try and keep it nice. Yeah. Well, I don't have anything to do with it. I just want to
actually remember this time. Super fun.
ice cream too.
Thank you.
What have you got here then? That's a walnut. What's the one at the back?
Chocolate fruit and nut, and the one at the back is just chocolate and fruit.
I know somebody would like that. And what's the one in the new?
That's chocolate with honeycomb, like, I keep,
Nice. How much do you get for like? Is it 450?
a bar. A bar, yeah.
No, just at the other. I was just thinking. Irgendwo müssen wir, ja, drüber gibt es ja, glaube ich, Aufzüge da.
Okay, das war ach so. I was just getting some fish. Remember how big your tails used to be?